don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes the world seems to me just to be a pus-filled gravel pit full of fools and selfish assholes and cunts.
Have you been watching Fox News again?
I only watched it for like 5 minutes, I promise.
You love Fox and Friends. That's your favorite show.
God. Do they really... Okay, first of all, welcome to the podcast. You have tuned in to Beauty and the Bitch. My name is Mick.
And I am Morgan.
Now, Morgan, do they really call it Fox and Friends? Like, is that the name of a show?
That is like their morning news show, I believe.
Holy
and I
shit.
only know this because I know that Donald Trump is a listener and that other news sources that want to make fun of him, like one of my favorite news shows, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, they always show you his tweets compared to the shit that they say on Fox and Friends because that's where he gets his fucking news from.
That is horrifying. He doesn't read. He's been
I
very
don't think that he
about
can. I saw like he signed his name on like a bill and it was just a bunch of squiggles and then he held it upside down and he was like, there it is.
Did you see all those, like, people doctored all those pictures of him when he signed some bill taking away someone's rights or ruining someone's life?
That sounds like every day.
Yeah, that's just what he does. And it was like him holding it out, looking all like blubbery faced, but they changed it so it's like a child's cartoon drawing, and everyone around him, like all the like hateful Republicans are applauding, and it's like,
yeah,
he drew his
no,
son.
I probably missed that in between the photos of men in Congress and the Senate deciding the rights of women without any women present. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it was in there somewhere.
But Morgie, here's the thing, like,
I know
women,
that you know what's best for me.
Yeah, your brain is just smaller.
Yeah, and you know, because I have a period, I really just can't think with my little lady brain.
You're all emotions.
Just an idiot. A woman's place is the house.
That's true. Well, not just the house, but the basement of the house.
Exactly.
Do you think people are going to be mad that I said cunt? I just said it again.
Did you say cunt?
Yeah, I said something.
It's so a part of my vocabulary that, like, I don't even register it as offensive.
So I did use it in a derogatory way, though not against women, but actually cunt is one of my... I love the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Cunt. I love that...
Yeah, I'm okay with cunt. I wouldn't like it if someone said it in a derogatory way. It's only basically the way that I use my language that other people would find like vulgar and offensive is either in like a funny way or to express my emotions in like a non-hateful way, you know? Like I've never called someone like a bitch and been like, you're a stupid bitch. But like, I'll talk about any old bitch any day and like, it's different. There's the intention behind the word. Yep. I feel like that's a big thing where parents, not that I have children, so this is my unqualified information and advice.
As is everything on this podcast.
For sure.
It's all unqualified.
But like people, they like, you can't say cuss words around your kids and like you can't teach them, so you teach them like alternative things. So instead of saying damn it, they say like dang it. But it's the intention with the word to me. So like maybe your kid's not at school calling someone a cunt, but if they call her like a little blueberry princess, but they mean that she's a cunt, it's the same difference.
It'll hurt just as much.
Yeah. So I'm not on board with like not cussing in front of your kids because I have no filter and I guess I need to work on that.
I had this, it's so funny you bring this up because, I was home last week, briefly, and I've got 2 little nephew, boys. Okay, they're twins. They're boys. They're my nephews. Okay?
That sums it up.
I also have 3 nieces who are quite a bit older than them. But anyway, they're like, I'm a horrible uncle, like 6 years old. And they were going around talking about this freaking thing and that freaking thing. And my mom was like, Michael, you tell them not. She calls me Michael. She said, Michael, you tell them not to say freaking. And I was like,
tell them to say fuck.
I was like, all right. Fuck. No, but I was like, well, I get where you're coming from, Mom, because it's the intention, right? But it's like, they hear us say words in anger all the time. I come from a passionate family full of anger and curses. Like, maybe not like cussing. It's a very religious family, but like, I'm like a hex witch. You know what I mean? I got that from my mama.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just feel like you're putting the emphasis on the wrong thing. To me.
And also, as a strong member of the NRA, I cannot support anyone saying son of a gun. Just kidding about all of that, and also fuck the NRA.
Yes.
Unless my dad's listening, and then, like, maybe you like that. I don't know, but also, no, don't like it. I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, my God.
I grew up in Arkansas. What's happening?
This is horrible. You know, one time I was sitting in my mom's living room. She owns a gun. I'm from a gunning family, too. We're from the same family.
Yeah.
Probably, actually. More or less. And
We're actually cousins.
Yeah.
Thrice removed.
Probably, which is kind of upsetting that we did for so long.
Nah.
But there's a lot that's upsetting about that.
Like the broken shatters of my heart, I'm still picking up.
No, I'm so sorry. I am quite the catch. You were probably like, devastated.
Yeah. Wait, what's happening?
Anyway, so we were sitting in the living room. It was me and my mom and my youngest niece, who's like 11 now. Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot.
You're the worst, but it's okay.
I really am
Keep
horrible. And my niece was sitting on this chair that had a pillow on it. And my niece got up, and I moved the pillow because I was going to move the chair, and there was a fucking gun under it. Now, it was unloaded. It was an unloaded gun, but, like, that was horrible. And I got so mad at my mom, and she was like, but it's unloaded. And I was like, but it's a gun, and it was in the chair!
Yeah, I feel like there's so many different degrees of, like, the environments that children grow up in, and, like, the amount of guns that have been in my life just because my father is a hunter and, like, you know, whatever. So no judgment on, like, that thing you just said, because I feel like that was my childhood. And my father did not intentionally endanger me in any way. It's just, like, a thing that, like, happens.
They're just a part of life in some households. Yeah. Actually, you lost your virginity to a particularly girthy gun, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a double-barrel shotgun.
Whoa!
Just kidding. That's horrible.
That's horrible.
I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
We went too far. We went too deep.
I feel like I'll never be able to take that back.
I know.
And I wish it never happened.
Aww. Okay.
But I have this friend, Jed, you know. You know Jed.
I love Jed, yeah.
He loves weapons more than any person that I feel like I've ever met in my life. Like, he's like 80% human, 20% just weapon.
Sure.
Like, if there were an army program where they were like, we're literally going to turn you into Wolverine and make your bones into adamantium and also give you, like, knives for fingers, he'd be, like, at the top of the list. Like, yeah, obviously that's what you want.
So he'd be like a mix of Edward Scissorhands and Wolverine.
Yeah, like when we went to Alaska.
And Lady Deathstrike.
He was like, we're going to go hiking. And then he was like, first I got to go get my gun. And I was like, but why? And he was like, grizzly bears. And I was like, you fucking crazy. You think I'm about to go on this hike now that you have said these words to me. But to him, that's just like, let's do something dangerous because if we need to, we'll just like rip a rattlesnake in half and like spread blood on our cheeks and like kill a wolf underneath the full-blown moon.
Not a wolf.
Well, I don't know. He's crazy is what I'm saying.
He grew up in Alaska.
Yes. And did you say he grew up there?
Oh, is that wrong?
No, he grew up in the mountains in Arkansas, but now he lives in Alaska. Yeah, he's a super wilderness kid. But he just got married recently, and I imagine that somewhere underneath the, like, all the vows they made was just, like, his only vow to her was, like, I will protect you at all costs. And then, like, he went home and whittled, like, 12 knives, and he, like, leaves them underneath, like, every cushion in the couch, and, like, he makes her, like, wear one in her boot, probably. Like, he's crazy. He loves weapons.
Can I tell you, so I have, I subscribe to a subscription box called Bespoke. Have I told you about this before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I keep meaning to get rid of it, but I can't sign onto the website, and like that they don't recognize me. It's all a fucking scam to get me to keep this subscription box. Anyway, so I got like a cute bag from it. I got like a cocktail set. It's like, you know, I don't really subscribe to like stereotypical masculinity, but it's like a men's subscription box.
Okay.
Which, that's cool. Like, news flash, I'm mostly a man. So,
what?
I mean, somewhat. Okay, but let me tell you, this last subscription box, I was like, canceled. Because, just like that. Literally, sitting on this couch. Because I opened that motherfucker up, and okay, one...
They give you a pube trimmer?
Girl. No, that would be useful. I could use that. No, it was a little wooden doohickey where you turn the top and it makes bird noises. Yeah, it's like, skirty-doo, skirty-doo.
That's useful. Is that the Game of Thrones theme song?
That's a little bit. That's what I think birds sound like. I don't know. Toot-toot-toot-toot-toot. It was all that. Like, you just spin it. It's weird. I was going to give it to my nephews, but whatever, I didn't. And then, girl, the other thing massive fucking Bowie knife.
What?
Huge! Like,
is it under your pillow?
No, I put it, well, okay, I did put it on my bedside table, and I'm not so upset about it because I don't believe in owning guns personally for me. And I was like, you never know, I might need a weapon. And if the zombie apocalypse comes, that legit could be a weapon that could save my life. Or, like, if someone wants to come in and rape me, I'll forget about the knife and just scream and shit myself. But it's there. Yeah. It is there. And it's got, like, metal on the end. So also the handle is a weapon. It is the most hardcore thing I've ever owned. But nonetheless, I'm getting rid of that subscription box because really.
That's a little intense.
Yeah. Well, we went on tangent. that was tangential.
Honestly, I don't even remember where that started.
No, I mean, well, okay, well, here's the thing, dear listeners. This is our, like, rando episode.
Yeah, our Randocast.
Yeah, because we have, like, little things that, like, might not fit into Content Club, and we realized that a lot of what some people like, you know, our parents, is that we have a nice sort of back and forth and we just bullshit pretty effectively. So we wanted to kind of give you an insight into who we are that maybe you haven't gotten yet and talk about some little details and things that we love that maybe aren't large enough to fill a full podcast. Would you say that's true?
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes I know I definitely do this, but when we're talking about a particular subject, and even just podcasting in general, which is a brand new thing for us, and I feel like we're learning more and more every episode that we record. But I feel like I put on I have like a podcast persona. Like I'm this person and I'm like, I have this tunnel vision about the subject that we're talking about. And we put so much work into researching it. And like, it's very consuming. So it kind of, this episode is kind of relieving because it gave us like a little bit of a break. And like, we've been able to plot out like future episodes. And I've been putting a lot of work into future episodes, but I haven't had to do like anything for this episode. So it's kind of like, nice. It's just like, we're just like hanging out on a Saturday night and like we happen to just be recording it. In fact, we should have been recording for the entire hour before we started recording. Because we talked about a lot of stuff.
We talked about all kinds of shit. But
what can you do?
You know, there are some things, and I think this is something that especially like younger millennials who have been so connected to social media and the internet their entire lives. We're the upper edge of millennials. But because we grew up poor,
we missed out on a lot.
Yeah, we were late to the game.
I didn't have an iPhone until I moved to Austin, and that was 5 years ago.
Girl, I got an iPhone like 3 years ago. Yeah. I mean, we had phones. We weren't like complete like heathens.
No, but like a brick phone. Like I could probably still play Snake on the phone I had 5 years ago.
Which really has aged very well.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Snake's fun.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, younger millennials sometimes, and kids younger than millennials, they don't really understand that there are different parts of any person, right? We're all made up of these like slightly different personas. And depending on who you're with and what kind of environment it is, you bring out different parts of you. They don't have to be any more or less genuine. It's just what's appropriate, right? We talked about things before we started recording that I don't want people to all of that.
We went real Arkansas Macon Morgan for a little bit earlier.
I mean, we talked about some deep shit. We threw some shade. We don't ever know. Maybe the people we throw shade at are going to listen. And I want you to listen. I don't want you to know what I secretly think about you. Not you.
Yes.
Well, you too.
Yeah, me too. Obviously. I actually have a really cute anecdote about seeing different parts of your personality, because you can even be deep into a relationship with somebody and then see different parts of them around other people that like maybe you didn't remember that they had or like hadn't seen ever or in a long time. You and I went over to a person's house this one time. You knew them and like I had never met them, but we went over there to hang out for a little while, and it was just these two guys, and I went in and I just immediately turned on like comedy charming Morgan, where I just come in and like everything's a funny joke and like ha 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 and something witty or like whatever. And you were like staring at me kind of weird, and I was like, well, that's whatever. I don't know. Maybe I have like a booger on my face. And then when we left later, you were like, I haven't seen you turn on like charming, hi, you've never met me Morgan before. And I was like, oh, I guess I did do that, because that is, you always want to like make a really good impression. And so like, because we're such old friends, like, I don't always turn on charming Morgan for when we're hanging out, because you
give
just
me Grotsky rotted bitch.
I give you just like normal Morgan who has like 12 roller coasters of emotions over the course of an hour because I'm just a hot mess sometimes. But like, I do turn on like charming, witty Morgan for like new people because I want them to like me. When I leave, I want them to say nice things about me and tell you next time they see you how like kind I was. And so it was just interesting for me, for you to say like, oh, you were just like a different person in there. And I was like, yeah, I was. You can just turn it on like that.
Like that. Yeah. Have you ever seen that side of me?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's when you're working.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. when I come into your little work zone, especially like before you notice that I'm there, you can see it's your like cheery work Mick. It's like your little work persona. Which
is like, so now that persona that I saw over at that person's house, is that your work persona, do you think? Or is it slightly different, I'm sure?
Most of the time at work, I try to be like upbeat, witty, charming Morgan. And then like, it's weird because when I have a day where I'm just tired and I just can't do it, I almost like try to just not talk to anyone except for like, Allison, because she's my buffer and she knows like all those like grumpy sides of me. And I always tell her, I'm like, I'm a grumpster today. And she's like, yeah, sometimes we have those days. But, and there's this new girl, Brenna, that we work with. And I feel like because we're kind of close now and like we work like right next to each other and we work together a lot, that like sometimes I can be like Grumpster Morgan at her. And I'm like, I'm sure she's fine with it and she'll learn that I'm not always happy. Yeah. But yeah, I do. I try to turn it on for sure when I'm at work, especially when like new people come in or if we're in like a big meeting or if I'm doing a presentation or something.
So I work at Lush Cosmetics. And I've worked at Lush for like over a half a decade now.
Jesus, you have. Oh my God, I have too.
Yeah, we've been in our jobs for
Holy
a
shit.
very fucking long time. I know we're aged. And for a long time, because Lush is a very cheery... Well, first of all, I work in a retail store a lot of the time now, so I'm on the floor with customers. But like, it's very cheery. That's part of the brand. It's like happy and friendly and like ba 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 ba. Well... like I as you know, I have that part of myself.
Oh, it looks exhausting.
It is. It is. It can be. Some days it's really easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But some days it's not. And the days when it's not, it is incredibly exhausting. And for a long time, I was, it kind of sounds stupid now, but I felt like I didn't understand that you can have those two parts of yourself and they can both be equally true. Yeah. And I was like, I'm supposed to be genuine, but like, I'm in a bad mood today, and I'm faking it. Like, am I like... I don't know. I took it deep. I was like, am I... And what's the opposite of genuine? Ingenuine? Ungenuine?
Disingenuous?
Disingenuous. Thank you so much.
Is that... Yeah.
That's totally it. Am I like a disingenuous person? But no. Well, maybe. But not for that reason.
Yeah. You're afraid of seeming fake.
I was afraid of being fake.
Yeah. I think we all have those fears.
I told everyone. Yeah. It was like, I didn't want to go home at night and look in the mirror and be like, well, who you are in public is not who you are in private.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And like, even though like I turn into charming, witty, kind Morgan, and that's not who I am all the time, that's still Morgan. That's still like definitely a part. And like sometimes I'm that person to Aaron and like, we live together and like we've been together for like 10 years, but like I don't like not show him that side of me just because he's like any old schmuck or whatever. But I know what you mean though. Yeah. I have days where I feel like when you're faking it till you make it, like, am I being so fake right now? Everyone can see through me. I'm a transparent caterpillar. I'm not a butterfly.
Oh, it's so horrible. You would be a moth anyway.
Life is a battlefield.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that, that's interesting. You feel the exact same way seemingly about that I do. It must be why we're biffers. But I didn't know anyone else felt quite that way about like the different parts of our personas.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I think that is something that younger people often struggle with. Yeah. Especially if you're a young person who has been putting your life on, say, Instagram or Snapchat.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. Being the youth today, like, it was hard enough without all that shit. And then, like, bullying is, like, different these days. And, like, you can't live in your little bubble. We lived in a bubble.
We did.
You can't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess you can, but then other kids would make fun of you for like not being on Instagram and shit. I don't know. Parents, I don't know how you're navigating that. I'm sad for you.
Yeah, it's
good luck.
Scary.
Somebody write a book so I can read it later.
Speaking of writing books.
Yes.
I was curious, because I know we're both always reading things. Are you reading anything good right now? Do you have anything good on your nightstand?
Okay, yes. Yeah, so I kind of dabbled in that in a previous mini episode, which will be many moons ago by the time this podcast comes out, so everyone's going to have forgotten. I just got done reading A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson.
Yes.
I know you have read A Short History of Nearly Everything, as have I, and it's a fantastic, eye-opening book, also hilarious and amazing. Bill Bryson is an author who is all his books are in this section called Travel Adventure, which is like a fantastic section to read from anyone who has wanderlust. Like, you just get all of your heart's desires filled with like words. It's amazing. And he is a great writer. I can't recommend him enough. I love him. So A Walk in the Woods is a book about his journey through the Appalachian Trail, and he lived in England for a while, and so when he moved back to America, he kind of like rediscovered the grandeur of like national parks and like how beautiful America actually is, because I imagine like he knew it was, but then when you're gone for a while and he lived on like such a tiny island that he kind of like forgot about it, right? So it's kind of his rediscovery of his love and passion for nature, and he's kind of like a middle-aged, pretty overweight man at the time, and so it's also his hilarious journey of like, I can totally do this, to like, holy shit, I can't do this. And then he brought along an old friend that he had that is also middle-aged and overweight and hilarious. So it's just a really good story, and I super recommend it. And yeah, I can't wait to read it again. I went ahead and set it on Aaron's bookshelf because I think he should read it. And it seriously made me want to take like a 6-week vacation and walk like 500 miles or something like. And I'm already a big nature person. Like, communing with nature is like my version of religion. Like, there is no church that can like light my soul on fire, but like stick me in the woods for like 3 weeks and like no cell phone. And
but to be fair, More, you haven't really given Scientology a try yet.
Actually, newsflash, I'm a Scientologist now, and our overlord Zorp will need me to borrow $350 from you every month until you die.
You know what? You're my friend, and I trust you, and it's gonna be hard to explain what happened to your body.
Yeah, but I really need to get to level 7, so if you could write me that check before I leave.
It's like living in an RPG.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll help you.
Yeah, so I'm a Scientologist now, and that book is fantastic. So I finished that, and I'm also currently reading this book called The Historian, that is it's a telling of a woman's discovery of her father's connection to Dracula. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like a Dracula story.
Literary? Oh, is it fiction?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So literary Dracula.
Yes.
Like the vampire.
Oh. But the real life version
like
that
Vlad.
The literary, yes, Vlad, yes, yeah. So it's really complicated, and it's very hard to read. And I'm not saying it's boring, but like lately I've mostly only had time to read it at like bed. Sometimes on like the weekend in the mornings I'll read, but really I've been so busy with like this podcast and like other stuff, like bedtime is when I've been reading.
Like shaving your back.
Yeah, just getting my wax on. So it's kind of dense for bedtime reading, honestly. So I'm actually hoping to bring it on our trip so I can like read it at the beach, because Mickey and I are going to the beach!
Woo-woo! And no one else is invited.
Okay, there's like a bunch of other people coming.
Yeah,
but let's talk about that here shortly, because I'm excited about that. But
so we'll go deep in that.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to bring that for beach time reads. And besides that, I'm in a reread of Harry Potter.
I need to start that.
I'm like a third of the way through the Sorcerer's Stone, and I am reading the illustrated copy that Aaron bought me for Christmas. And oh my god, it's gorgeous. It's taking me like twice as long to read because I can't quit staring at the pictures. And so I actually was considering like, maybe I shouldn't, but I'm already a third of the way through, so I'm just gonna like do it. But it's taking me like forever.
Do you just have the first one illustrated?
Yes, they only have the first 2 out currently illustrated.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. But my understanding is they're gonna do all of them. And I don't know how they're gonna do the later ones. Like, are they gonna break it up into volumes? Because it's so much to illustrate. It'll be like the thickest book ever. But it's fantastic and I love it. And it's like bringing up so much nostalgia. And the weather right now, like spring just bloomed and the weather is gorgeous. And so this morning I woke up early and I did yoga in my backyard. And then I just sat on this like glider bench I have out there. Mm-hmm. And I just like read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And it brought me just like such joy.
Okay, see, you live... Okay, let's just compare your morning and my morning. What was it? When did you wake up?
About? Like 8:30.
Okay, 8:30. Okay. I woke up at, just like 9. So that's not that much later. But I was very upset about getting up. And I hit snooze twice because I was masturbating in bed. Okay. And then I got up and promptly fell. Mm-hmm. Like tripped and fell. Okay. So that was like my yoga. And then
you pulled a muscle instead of stretching it?
Exactly. I broke myself. And then I went and put on coffee and I put way too much coffee in and then tried to pour the coffee from the filter back into the bag and spilled it. Okay. And then while the coffee was making, I ran into my bedroom because I had like 10 minutes to get ready for work and I fucking like couldn't do it. Do you ever have those days when your fingers are like fucking sausages and they just won't? You're like, why?
You do.
I guess I do. And anyway, so your life is beautiful and my life is pathetic.
Oh, see, but I'm much more of a morning person than you are. You're like a night owl. You get like things done at night. Yeah. And girl, at like 9:30, I'm like grabbing dogs. I'm like snuggling under blankets. Yeah. I'm like laying in bed reading a book, right?
That's valid.
It's hard for me to. This is like, it's like 10:40 and I'm already like, girl, I'm going to be tired.
I know. We just drank a cup of coffee.
Yeah, which is very adventurous for me because also I'm a 90-year-old lady.
Woo woo, we're going to go crazy. Whip out the Coke.
Whoa. Yeah. So books. So those are, books, yes. That's like what I'm reading right now. And I'm reading, I started but haven't read in a while, and we'll also bring on vacation with us the second book in the Outlander series, and I can't even like fucking remember what it's called, but I'm actually really into that. I'm really looking forward to reading that series. It's just really, it's long. All the books are like 900 pages long, which is absurd, and there's like 13 of them, so I'm like it's really daunting. But it's a really great like romance book with like lots of sex and then like also lots of like adventure and like magic. So it's like a really good mix for me. So I'll be bringing that probably.
I think I've told you every time you talk about Outlander, I think of Highlander.
Yeah,
every single time.
Different one.
Steven Seagal, right?
There can only be one.
Is that from Highlander?
Yeah,
I never watched it. I just think about it.
Yeah, and like Sean Connery was like in Highlander. He like was also a Highlander. But, like, it's confusing because there was 2 Highlanders, but the slogan is, like, there can only be one. It's like, well, obviously not, because there's 2.
Yeah, and one of them Sean Connery.
So,
it's probably gonna be him,
and he's supposed to be Scottish? Is he Scottish?
I don't know. He's got a thick ass. I think so.
I think he's from, like, his own planet. Like, I can't place him. Anyways, yeah.
1, 2, 3, Sean Connery accent.
Scotch. What is that? You're doing Cockney.
I'm horrible at accents. I cannot do a Sean Connery.
What about like when the League of It? There can how many Batmans must I watch die? Too many Batmans. What's that guy's name? You know what I'm talking about, Alfred?
Oh, no. Pennyworth. What's his name? I don't know. But yeah.
Old British man.
I love him.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters.
I'll think of his name.
Michael Tenenbaum.
His name is Michael Caine.
Oh, yes! Oh, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I'm reading things. Cereal boxes, shampoo bottles.
To be honest, I legit didn't know you could read them. So sorry. What are you reading right now? Please tell us everything.
Okay, well, currently I'm reading you in my head.
Ooh.
But actually, so I think I've told you about this before. It is a reread, but I think this is actually, I think I feel comfortable saying it's my number 1 favorite book of all time.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. It's called Eros the Bittersweet by Anne Carson.
Okay.
And it is like an examination of the bittersweetness of love, essentially.
Aww.
And it starts, I think it's so beautiful and poetic. It starts from, like, ancient Greek poets and the way they talked about love and goes all the way up to modern day. And it's kind of, like, scholarly. Like, you know, she has an understanding of classical literature, so sometimes she'll talk about, like, what words mean in ancient Greek and, like, shit like that. They, I guess, could be a turnoff to some people because I was a classics major, like, I have that background.
Sure.
I will tell you that, so I'm rereading this because I'm working on my book, and my book's all about the bittersweetness of love, / maybe toxic love. But I did recommend Eros the Bittersweet to my friend Jessamine in Chicago, and she's brilliant. Like, she's so smart. And she was like, Mickey, I couldn't.
She didn't like it.
Well, she couldn't get into it. It was too technical for her.
You know, and that's the double-edged sword of recommending something you love to someone else, because when they don't love it as much, like, number one, it's hard to understand.
Yeah, I am shocked in this moment still. That happened months ago, she told me. Okay, so that's one thing I'm reading. I like to read. We both are people who like to read multiple books.
Yeah, right? I can't ever just have one. No. That's not a thing to me.
No, unless it's like the newest Harry Potter book or something, like something I'm obsessed with.
Yeah, then it takes precedence. Exactly. But it's definitely not the only thing on your bookshelf.
No, absolutely not. So I'm also reading Myths to Live By Joseph Campbell. Do you know Joseph Campbell?
I do, yeah. I actually really like him.
I think that he was one of the sweetest, most intelligent, like, wise men.
Agreed.
Around.
Yeah.
Ever. I think he died in the late 80s, or... I think he died in the late 80s or early 90s. But he was a mythographer. And so what he really did was look at world myths and then see what sort of deep sort of life lessons you could pull out of those myths, and then he connected them to the present day.
Mm-hmm. He has a lot of, like, he's famous for, like, a lot of, like spiritual quotes.
Yeah, really beautiful things. And so I'm reading one of his books, Myths to Live By.
Cool.
And I'm just started that, but I need to finish it soon. And then I'm also reading, just every morning as you know, I did not do it this morning because, well, masturbation, falling out of bed.
Honestly.
But if I'm having a good morning, I get up on time. As I'm drinking my coffee and smoking my cigarettes, I read a poem by Carl Sandburg because I have his collected poems. He's the one who wrote about the fog that's like cat feet, you know? Like, have you ever seen that? Like,
I don't know.
Oh my god, you are so uncultured.
Oh my god.
It's so embarrassing.
You know what, though? I would never want to get caught in a trap, like when Jimmy Kimmel comes to South by Southwest and he asks people, like, about fake bands that don't exist, and they're like, yeah, oh my god, I love it. I read, like, all those books.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't know that person, and if you made them up, now I don't look like a dummy.
No, you're absolutely right, though. I totally agree with you, because I feel like, speaking of lessons for younger people, look, I'm so full of, like, patriarchal wisdom.
Oh
right
my
now.
god. Down with the patriarchy.
Woo woo! Yeah, destroy it.
Destroy it! I have a friend who says about, like, all things art, he's always like, and destroy all art.
Oh.
But he does, does he mean it ironically, Charlie? Either way, it makes me laugh, so I don't care.
Well, I think that something that took me a long time to learn is that it makes you appear more confident to be able to admit when you are ignorant of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have to do that a lot.
I do too. Oh my god.
I'm really dumb.
Look, in the world, well, that's not true, Morgan.
But
you're not really dumb.
So much I don't know because I'm only half dumb. I'm 1/4 dumb.
You're like basic level dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are seeming like a basic.
I do have blonde hair, so I have boobs. PSLs.
No, you're 0%. Every time someone says PSLs, I think penis sucking lips.
I always think PLL for Pretty Little Liars, and then I'm like, what are you talking about? I have to get back to my basic bitch cable watching.
Yes.
Because I do like that horrible show. It's so horrible, but I like it.
Well, okay, so what have we learned? You're basic, you have terrible taste in television, and I'm amazing.
Yeah, well, those are two of those things are true. 2 truths and a lie.
What the fuck was I even talking about?
That Carl someone or another.
Oh, Carl Sandburg. He was an American poet, and he wrote, to me, he writes, like, Americana poems, but he's written so many girl. Like, do you see, the book is open on that chest over there? It's the one that's open. It's huge. fucking huge. There's this one poem that he wrote that I read when I first moved to Austin, and I went to the library. Remember I used to go to the library early in the morning? And I checked out his book, and I read it, and I was walking home from the library after reading this poem. It's something about, like, poplars whispering or something. And I literally was brought to tears thinking about that poem and just walking. So anyway, I love him. So every morning I get up and I read a poem of his or two, and I, like, think about it, you know, and, like, try to, like, whatever, figure out what he's doing, you know, why I find that poem special or not special.
Yeah. That's sweet. I don't read enough, like, poetry. I really don't, and I feel like that's so good. I did have this one book that I read. This guy, oh, this is terrible now that I'm on the spot. I can't think of his name, but he writes these series of, like, short, beautiful books. His name is Hugh something, and I had this book that I really loved called Notes to Myself, and I bought it at a thrift store, and it was just, like, every page was just, like, in the center, just, like, a handful of words. It was just, like, your daily, like, just, like, a note to myself. And it was always, like, really uplifting stuff. And sometimes really, like, sad stuff. And just, like, it was just a sweet book. And, like, sometimes I would read just, like, a couple pages in the morning. And then he had and I told Sarah about that. Mm-hmm. And he had written this book called 365 Notes to Myself, and it was like one note for every day. Mm-hmm. And Sarah bought it for me for Christmas, and so every morning I would read it, and then I would write, like, on the page, like, how it made me feel. And it was, like, it was actually one of the, like, hardest things I can remember doing in recent years, because it's such a commitment to say, like, every single day I'm going to get up and do this. And I did it.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and now I have this, like, really cute book with, like, my thoughts on, like, that note, and, like, maybe I'll reread it again sometime.
His name is Hugh Prather.
Prather, yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. That's, you know what, I make all these gorgeous plans for myself, and then I don't think I've ever successfully followed through, so that's very impressive.
I'm really bad at follow through on, like, all things in life. Yeah. Like, it's hard to stay consistent, and, like, so many of my, like, things I love to do are, like, fleeting. Like, yoga is one of the only things I've ever stuck to, like, as hard as I have. Mm-hmm. This podcast, I'm hoping, is going to be one of them. Yeah. I feel good about it.
Well, the thing that's different with this podcast, for me personally, the thing that's different is that we're doing it together.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like we kind of keep each other honest, I think. And that's why people say if you want to quit smoking or, like, you know, whatever, write every day or something, like, join a group or, like, tell your friends you're quitting, which I've done, like, twice and then had to suffer public humiliation because I failed to quit. But yeah, I'm terrible with follow through. Sometimes I start pooping, I get up halfway through and just make dinner.
Now, you are really bad with pooping, and I just can't. I don't.
It is horrible.
I can't relate.
You know, that was what pretty much took my grandma out. Like, I promise you right now, if I can be a prophetic witch, I bet you who cares about this?
You'll die from not pooping.
Maybe not that exactly, but that's my weak part in my body, and that's what's going to take me out, man. Yeah, because not my brain.
You're so smart.
I'm not crazy or anything.
As you Joker smile over there. Okay, so what else are you reading?
Wow, Morgan, now you made me sound like an asshole because I'm only reading those 3 things. You're so mean. You're a bad friend.
Whoa.
Wow.
What an idiot.
Ooh, I need to go finish my poop.
And scene. No, so yeah, so those are great things you're reading, and
I'm enjoying
I'm going to put some poetry in my back pocket and catch up with that.
Oh, you should.
But speaking of this podcast and sticking with it and other things that, like, just things that happen in life, what has this podcast changed about your life, and, like, how has your life been since we had the conversation where we decided to start this podcast? Like, between then and now, what?
Well, that's a really fun question. I have found it to be very life-affirming, first of all, because, as we've said many times, we're not really experts. We're just passionate fans of things. And I had this fear, as I know you did too, because we talked about it, that people just wouldn't want to listen. Like, they just straight up wouldn't care, you know? Which I think is every person's fear. That is the fear of any person who creates anything.
Rejection.
Essentially, yes. But the podcast is like our voice, you know? It's like, and it's also like our friendship. Like, much what we are showing off is like our passion and our friendship. Yeah. Right? And my incredible wit and your basicness. And so I found it to be very life-affirming. I was telling you, there are two of my coworkers have started rereading Lord of the Rings because they listened to our Lord of the Rings podcast. And that means so much to me. Like, actually, it's such a small thing, but like, people should read Lord of the Rings. It's a beautiful work. And if we can inspire people to reread some gorgeous fantasy or like watch some television that we think is worth the time, like that means something to me, you know?
I've had a couple of people say that they have not seen The Magicians, but because of us talking about it, it has made them want to see it. So they're going to give that a try. And then, of course, if they're anything like a lot of fans, like, you know, they might get interested in the books and then they'll get into Lev Grossman and he's just like a really cool dude. And like, maybe they never would have known that without us being like, hey, let's talk about this.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So that has definitely been a nice change for me. It's just, it's a boost just for my like life, my self-esteem.
Yeah.
And, you know, it makes me feel good about things. I will tell you, I have begun like structuring essentially every hour of the day. It's
a lot to pack in.
People said that podcasts were a lot of work, and it's not that I didn't believe them. I just didn't fully understand the reality.
Yeah.
Of like, and I'm not doing it to where I want to be doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I see so much more that I could be doing. It kind of stresses me out sometimes. But
Mickey can tell you, so like, we have different forms of organization for our minds and also for like physical organization. And so like, I show up and Mick has like a notebook where he has like structured out things that he has handwritten. And I show up with like 12 typed out like pages with like outlines. And then like I scramble because I forgot like some things or like I had some other ideas. So I've like crazily written like all over the 12 pages in like 5 different colors of pens. And like, and then I bring all of the color coded pens and like, oh my God, I'm neurotic. I'm so neurotic.
Girl, you have to be, though. I mean, honestly, like, I don't understand people who don't plan out things, who don't take notes, who don't, like, you need to do those things. Life is fucking busy, and you want to get every little stray thought out.
People don't use planners.
That is shocking.
I live by my plan. I would forget everything.
Yes, queen.
I would have no plans I could keep if I did not have a planner.
Maybe they smoked less pot in college than we did. You know what I mean?
That's a possibility, but no. Like, well, how do they know what they're doing that week? And if, like, they just remember, I can't relate to that.
No, please. I'm much too important and busy.
I'm just very, like, forgetful, and I quickly will make plans on top of other plans if I don't have a thing that's like, oh, actually, you're busy that day. And, like, I do use it for work, but I would say, like, 70% of my planner is just for my personal life.
Do you do a paper planner or do you like foam planner?
I have a paper planner is what I use religiously. And then I also for work, I mostly use like my Outlook calendar as my planner for like work stuff. I will write like big stuff in my notebook if I'm like, oh, you need to remember like I plan like events at work. So like I put down like all the events in my planner because I look at it more frequently than I look at my work calendar. Because I only look at my work calendar when I'm at work, of course.
Sure,
you know?
Of course.
So anyway, yeah. So I live by my paper planner and I have found also that it's not like a super challenge, but it does restructure my life to figure out how to work in all of this podcast stuff. And I've also been learning like some graphic design stuff like along the way so that I can make like our marketing material, like funny shit I post on Facebook.
Yeah, that's legit, girl. That's marketing.
Yeah. No, it is. But like, so I've been learning like exciting new things like that like I've always wanted to learn, but never had like the motivation to do it. So it's like, there's so much motivation I've received from this project.
Aw, I'm really impressed that you learned how to Photoshop. You know how you lost your left eye in that horrible accident? You just have a gaping hole? And you Photoshop that shit back in.
I'm Carl from The Walking Dead.
You 100% are.
Some zombie accidentally shot my face off, so.
Yeah, I mean.
Spoilers for The Walking Dead, season 5.
Yeah, you ruined that shit, queen.
Sorry.
We need to do the Walking Dead episode sometime.
Yes.
So how has your life changed, though, more? What are the big... Yeah. How would you characterize the changes?
So, I had, like, said, definitely previously in our friendship, more recently, like, in the last couple of years, that I've been, like, super into podcasts. I had said multiple times that, like, I wanted to do a podcast and that I thought that we would be good at it. And I don't know if you just didn't take me seriously, or maybe you just, like, weren't in a place to hear, like, yeah, that's a project we should start.
It was very that.
Yeah. So the whole reason that it even happened is I'm not one to set a bunch of New Year's resolutions because I disappoint myself in many other ways. There's really no reason to set goals that I'll never achieve. You know?
I totally feel you.
Yeah, like I just, why do that?
Yeah,
like
every glance in the mirror, I'm just like, another disappointment.
Yeah, girl. So I just like, that's really not my thing, you know? But we hung out like, maybe on February or January 2nd or something. And your birthday's the first week of January. And I think we were just chilling.
Woo woo.
And we were just kind of talking about how we both didn't really set like super big goals because that's not our thing. But that you had wanted to start like a YouTube channel, like some creative endeavor to get yourself out there. And I was like, God damn it. Can this be the year that I finally actually like make good on this thing I've always wanted to do? Like, we should do a podcast. And it was just like it was just the right time.
It was just, yeah.
And you were super receptive to the idea. And I think we immediately started just like writing down all the things we wanted to do. And then we like set up a date in our little planners and we like had a planning meeting and we just came up with a million ideas and like there's just so many reasons that it should work. And then we just really within 2 weeks had like all the software downloaded, had researched how to do it.
Let's be perfectly fair. You had all the software downloaded and you had researched.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm just the face.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you're the beauty.
Yeah. Oh! Say it again.
I'm going to edit that out because I'm editing this episode. Just kidding. So, yeah. So we jumped in though. I mean, you did we did a lot of work.
I mean, not to sell myself short. I also did work, but
we did a lot of work to bring it together very quickly.
Oh yeah, within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we were not fucking around. No. So for me, it really jump-started my year. Like, honestly, it really got me in the right mindset to kind of feel like I want to get shit done this year, right? Even if I didn't make a ton of goals. And so it's been really fulfilling for me. And it is a lot of work. It truly is. And I spend a lot of time, but as you said, not as much effort as like I would want to put in. Like in a perfect world, 4 years from now, I would be doing this podcast as like part of my full-time job. I would have like some other creative stuff going on. Like, I don't know what, I mean, we both want to be writers, like, you know, ideally be like writing and like maybe people would give me money for that. And like, I would probably be like a yoga teacher on the side and I would just get to wake up every morning and drink coffee and sit outside and read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and like, that would be perfect.
Let's be very, like, upfront. I think to do a podcast and the social media and the editing and the blog and all the related, like the ephemera, I think that is like a 30 to 40 hour a week job to really do it well and continue to improve. Yeah. It could be I mean, girl, if someone would pay us, it could be our full-time jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how, you know, like people who do podcasting for their full-time job are able to put out like an episode a week because they have the time to dedicate to it. Some people fucking do more. Like, I don't know, it's crazy. But it's teaching me a lot of discipline and it's teaching me about structuring my time and it's really, really fulfilling, like, to have a thing where, you know, I can't do some useless thing because I treat it as a second job. Like I have to like edit this podcast tonight or I have to like record or I have to work on like some graphics that I've been wanting to put together but didn't make time for. So it's really been fulfilling and it's just been great. And do you remember the first episode we recorded? I had like butterflies in my stomach. I was like so nervous. And there was like no fucking people around. It was like just the two of us.
Literally in my bedroom on the bedroom floor.
And if we fucked it up, we could have did it over again. Like there was no reason to be nervous, but it is that like thing about like walking out to the ledge and just like leaping off and putting your voice out there and like setting yourself up for rejection. And it's scary.
It's that moment in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.
Like the hiding is over. Like, you know, now granted we are not being chased by, you know, fucking
yet.
Well,
we're not famous enough yet.
Oh no.
The ring rates are coming, girl.
Oh. But it was that moment where we said, you know what? We're going to put ourselves out there and, like, people are going to savage us at some point.
Yeah,
They
and
do.
actually,
They will.
I was really nervous even to start the social media because I was like, people are going to, like, unfollow me on Facebook because they're going to be mad that I'm sharing all this stuff about, like, my passion project. But, like, you know what? Like, who gives a shit? Like, if they don't want to see it, they don't have to see it. And maybe my little fucking memes brighten someone's day. Like, maybe it made someone's day.
Yeah.
So,
they're hilarious.
There's that. Yeah, they are hilarious. I get a kick out of it. It's like my favorite thing. Like, I'm so into, like, running our social media pages. Like, I'm all about it.
Girl, I'm so glad you like it because I'm not the one.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. We have very different strengths. And,
we do.
And we're very yin and yang.
We go together
like I think that we won't get a cease and desist letter for that one because it certainly wasn't
no.
lyrics.
It was the far side of satire.
Yeah.
It was very different. I'm okay. No one panic.
Yeah, so where we're at now, kind of, would you not agree, is we're in the phase where we have a couple loyal followers, which is great. Thank you so much if you're one of those people and you're suffering through this, like, non-content filled episode.
I bet that you love it. You like
love
it.
Like, you love it.
Lay back and think of England.
England?
I know, that's what
Michael Caine.
Who was so fine when he was younger.
Oh shit, I haven't seen him. I'm gonna Google that in a hot second. But we're struggling kind of what's the next step, right? How to grow our fan base, how to get more followers. And like, girl, there is so much information out there on how to get it done. And I have read all of it, but I still kind of don't understand. And,
it's
and
like
it's
reading
weird.
the Bible. It's like some of it's contradictory and some of it don't make sense to me and some of it I disagree with.
And some of it says I should have sex with my neighbors, but then in other places it says don't do it.
Yeah, and what's up with shellfish?
And how do we feel about anal sex? It's very confusing.
2 thumbs up. The ass, I mean. 2 thumbs up the ass.
Yeah, so... yeah. So, that's where we're at. So, our goals are to get more listeners and figure out the content that's going to be appealing to more people because... And also, that's a fear I have, like, that I've said several times. I'm like, we're going to run out of stuff, which never. There's always more stuff to talk about, for sure.
We've literally talked about... I mean, we've talked about things, but we've talked about nothing for like 45 minutes.
That's true.
We're still like...
57 minutes.
57... an hour of nothing.
Yeah. So, right now, that is like my new goal is to figure out like how to grow that. And I'm struggling with it. So that's my new like life project. And at work we do this thing where we set like goals for ourselves. Like every quarter we have these like goals that are outside of our normal work duties. They're things that we want to achieve and to like better the business and better ourselves and like whatever. And so I'm trying to do that in my life. And so like my next quarter goal is to figure out like a solid strategy of where we're going with like our marketing plan, because essentially that's how we're getting our name out there, and like spending our money wisely, like spending little money but getting like lots of reward, like big ROI, and just figuring out the little twerks and tweaks that we can do to get people to like find our podcast. Like the people who don't know us, like we love the people who know us that are listening, but like we want also people who don't know us to be interested. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
I love it. My big goal is to fucking write for the blog.
Yeah.
And like spend time on WordPress, which is its own different entity altogether that I've never even considered as a thing. Really,
it's tough for me.
It's very different. It's not like Facebook. It's not like Instagram or Twitter. Like it's just, it feels dated, but I know lots of people are on it, so I do think it's worthwhile. Oh, Queen, I don't know. Yeah,
well, having a website is very worthwhile because it gives us a platform where if people don't have iTunes or they don't have Stitcher, they can listen to the podcast just straight up on our website. We have our RSS feed linked up on our website so anyone can just go there and listen to it whenever and just stream it straight from there. So that's vital. It has other, happenings and musings from our brain through the blog, and I think that's important for people. I mean, we don't have, like, followers per se, but, like, if we did, if people just wanted to consume more content from us, it's available there. And eventually we'll put more shit up on there. It also has links to our Instagram feed if, shit like that. I don't know. I think it's super worthwhile.
It's hard to find us on XTube because we're under different names.
Yes.
So we need to give them something, to look at.
Yeah.
Because, what was that video you did? Shayna plays with the cucumber. Was that what it's called? No, it was called Hide the Cucumber with Morgie Q. Wasn't that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You were famous for a hot minute.
Thank
Did you gain money out of that?
Everyone Google that immediately.
I hope that's a thing. Oh, okay. Can we talk about RuPaul's Drag Race now?
Oh, queen, tell me.
Okay, so when we post this, it'll be, after the time. So I'm going to make some predictions about RuPaul's Drag Race. Now, Morgan.
Is this some Nostradamus shit?
This is I am talking like, I put on my little turban. Is that racist? Did Nostradamus wear a turban? Forget I said that. I'm
borderline.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. I put on my flowy robes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking into the crystal. And do you want to know who wins this season of RuPaul's Drag Race?
I do.
It is... Well, I'm not sure. But I think it's Sasha Velour.
I love the name.
Yes. She's fierce. She covers her eyebrows and draws them on. Like, they don't look like eyebrows. They're, like, stylized. And sometimes she'll draw, like, a little, like, shape in between. So it's kind of like a unibrow, but it's, like, the fiercest, like, sexy unibrow.
I love it.
She's super avant-garde, very weird. She's my personal favorite, but I'm not certain if she'll win. I think Nina Bonina Brown has a good chance to win. She's from Atlanta. She's kind of a trash queen. Hot, yeah, no one calls it that.
I'm so embarrassed.
You should be. But, okay, Morgan. Only one episode has come out so far, right?
Tell me.
It aired last night.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to know who the guest judge was on that episode?
Oh, I do.
It was Lady Gaga.
Oh, that shit is serious.
That's a huge deal. And Morgan, she was so lovely.
She is so lovely. I love her.
I do too. Her music has never especially touched me. There have been a few that I liked.
She has some good karaoke songs, but I also do not follow her music very hard.
Yeah, I don't listen to her albums over and over. But just as a person, she's so creative and intelligent and kind and giving, and I'm just obsessed with her.
Yeah.
So she went on the RuPaul podcast, which aired this week as well. It all comes out together. She was lovely on the podcast. And then she was the guest judge on the show. And then on Untucked, which is behind the scenes, it's an hour-long sort of spin-off. And it's all the queens backstage.
That's exciting.
It's actually, I probably like it even more than the actual show, to be honest. I just love
great.
It. And she did something that, I don't think a guest judge has ever done before. It was about half an hour of them just being themselves and, whatever. And then she came back from the judges' little podium table, and she gave them all feedback in person. And she was, so humble and helpful and... God, I just fucking love her. It was a really good episode, but no one went home, and no one lip-synced, and I thought that was kind of weird.
So at the end of every episode, do they usually, someone
they
sachets away?
You lip-sync for your life,
yeah.
And you either Shantae you stay, or you sachet away, right? But because it was all about Lady Gaga, that's why, is because they were okay, she's here for 7 hours, and this is 7 hours of a superstar's life, probably. Maybe 10, I don't know, but she's a huge superstar, right? So, Rue didn't even get in drag. Rue was completely out of drag. Rue's always in drag for the judging.
Shit, girl.
Mm-hmm. But he was the host of the Charisma, Uniqueness, Nerve, and Talent beauty pageant.
That's a lot of words that you just said right now.
Yes, and do you know what that acronym spells?
Oh no, tell me.
Charisma. Uniqueness.
Charisma.
Sometimes people don't get that forever.
It spells cunt.
Exactly, cunt. So he didn't even get in drag. So it was a weird episode because no RuPaul in drag, no lip sync for your life, no sachet away. It was strange. It was a strange episode, but I loved it. I think the queens are very strong. Besides Sasha Velour, I think that Nina Bonina Brown is going to be super fun. And there's no one I'm really not in love with, actually. I feel they're all really strong queens, and they're cunty enough that it's going to be a fun episode. or a fun season.
Nice.
Yeah. So I would recommend, at this point, when you are listening to this, it will have already aired, but go back and watch it because it seems like it's going to be a very strong season. But yes, that's my prediction. Sasha Velour.
Awesome. Well, as you know, I have seen season 1, I believe, of RuPaul's Drag Race because it was on
Nina
Netflix.
Flowers, who's my number 1 ever contestant.
Wait, is that what season was Sharon Needles on?
Oh, that's season 4.
Oh, well then I've seen season 1 and I've also seen season 4, which is
awesome.
A random amount of seasons to have seen.
2 great seasons.
And I love it. And I just... Do they still put it on Netflix?
No.
The thing is like, that's where I get most of my consumption. So like, I really need things to be easy in my life, but I need to go out of my way to see it because I read your post and I hear you, girl, and RuPaul's Drag Race is a very important television show. And I love Ru. Ru comes on a lot of podcasts, especially in preparation for the season coming out. She's been on a lot of podcasts I listen to. And fucking hilarious. Like, so enjoyable to listen to. And just, what a great, like, story. And, like, I love RuPaul's Drag Race. It's so entertaining. And I hate reality TV. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad you like it. And I strongly recommend you watch.
Yeah.
But I know it's hard. I get that. You can buy it all on iTunes.
Girl.
But I know that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't buy things. That's why I get to Netflix.
Yeah, I feel you.
But I will find it through free means. We can talk about that. Mm-hmm. Some illegal things when we put on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it would be. I think I should do it too. Yeah, and I need to make time for it.
Okay, so Morgan, guess what?
I couldn't possibly.
Ask me what my top 5 list of best drag queens ever on RuPaul's Drag Race is.
Mickey, could you take us through, possibly, a top 5 list of your favorite drag queens?
Morgan! Oh my god, well, I had no idea you were going to ask this.
Mm-hmm,
but like,
it's all brand new. Sorry to spring it on
fresh.
you.
Oh, it's okay, because I'm comfortable with improv acting.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and...
No.
Yes and no.
Yes and no, stop, that's wrong. Okay, so counting down, okay? My 5th favorite drag queen of all time is Pearl from season 7. Now, when people hear this, people who have watched that season, they're literally going to just hate me and hate everything about life because Pearl is not well liked. Her kind of moniker was that she was like a sleepwalking queen.
Okay.
Because she's super chill. She seems like she's on bars. Yeah. She seems like she's on bars all the time. And she may be, for all I know.
Sure.
But she is, the only reason she's on here, she's a fine, talented queen. She's beautiful. As a boy, she is one of the most attractive boys I've ever seen in my life. Yes, she looks like James Dean. Like a modern James Dean.
That's sexy.
Mm-hmm. I've heard he smells really bad in real life. But honestly, every once in a while you meet a boy and you're like, I can tell you smell bad.
But you don't care. Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. I'll just wash make you dunk your feet in some water so your feet don't smell, because I can't do that. That's not sexy. Like a little BO, I'm down. I don't care. And his dick pics leaked.
Nice.
I'm into it.
Nice.
I'm very into it. Okay, so my 5th favorite of all time is Pearl. 4th favorite is someone you know, Sharon Needles.
So fierce.
Mm-hmm. Sharon Needles was the queen who, when she won, it sort of catapulted RuPaul's Drag Race into like, let's say, a new tax bracket. You know what I mean? Because she was the first alternative queen to win. And so it was very much, I've heard Ru say that when they started off, they chose first like a very conservative queen or like a conventional drag queen. And then every season after that, they kind of branched out a little bit more, and they started pulling a weirder, like Club Kids and like Nina Bonina Brown from this season I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
She dresses as like a sexy mouse for her. It's really fierce. And then in the first episode, she has this like paper peach on top of her head, so she transforms her head into a peach.
That sounds amazing.
It's like beautiful, and the way she paints herself is very painterly and like kind of looks like oil painting or something. It's not like what you think of when you think of like, you know, a drag queen in the club. So they're getting weirder and weirder and showing more of the like.
That's awesome.
Drag. Mm-hmm. And Sharon was the first one of those. Now, since she won, there have been some really not great things where like she said racist things.
Oh.
Or, like, But here's the thing. She's always been a trash queen who pushes the envelope and frankly says things to get a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been who she is. So I don't know if she meant those things. I wish she hadn't said them. But it doesn't mean she can't be a favorite just because who she is in history for me. You know. My third favorite queen, I don't believe you know. Do you know Alaska? Thunderfuck?
No. Did you say Thunderfoot?
Thunderfuck.
Oh.
Thunderfoot is almost funnier, actually. She actually was Sharon Needles' boyfriend. And you see pictures of Alaska pretty much as a boy, I think, during Sharon's season. But then Alaska was on the next season, and then she won All-Stars 2.
What?
She's kind of like, I've heard her described as like the next RuPaul in a very real way. They're very different queens, but like she's that kind of media savvy, sort of on her shit queen. She's made a bunch of singles, which are actually good and worth listening to.
She's like a singer.
Mm-hmm, she sings. She also, like, she did this thing with two other drag queens where she was the spokespeople. They were the spokespeople for American Apparel before, you know, they went out of business.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you not know that American Apparel's going out of business.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they shouldn't charge you $95 for a tank top.
Well, there you go, queen. They've actually marked things down to $80 for a tank top. If you go online, going out of business, sell. And my number 2 queen is Katya. Does that name ring a bell?
No, that sounds very Russian.
Oh, she is! Yeah! She's not really Russian, but her persona is like a Russian, like, transvestite hooker, real woman with class.
It's amazing.
Yeah, she's fabulous. She's insane.
Like you do when you're Russian.
Mm-hmm. And she made a very strong showing. Yeah, how could you not be insane if you're from Russia? No offense, Russians, but I mean, in Russia. Well,
if you're listening.
Yeah, well, Putin. Yeah, shade at Putin. But I mean, I'm sure there are some nice Russians. Or some sad Russians. Both.
Same.
But, you know, she went on season, what was it, like 7? She was on season 7 with Pearl. And she was, like, riddled with anxiety. And she was incredibly vulnerable on the season. And you sort of watched her grow if you followed her career. Because then she went on All-Stars 2, that Alaska one, and did very well. I say she was first runner-up.
What do you mean by All-Stars 2?
So they do, what's a weird question? So they have the seasons, right? We're in season 9 right now. There are 2 other seasons, All-Stars 1 and All-Stars 2.
And
where
it's like old people from
prior seasons who didn't win. It's not winners. I think they were talking about maybe doing like an all-winners season, or like fans have been hoping for that. Though frankly, I don't think the winners are going to put themselves through this gauntlet because from everything I've heard, competing on the show is, yeah, like they call it a drag race for a reason. Like it's a lot of work. It's very difficult. At the end of filming every day, they go back to their hotel room. They're not allowed to hang out with the other queens because they want to catch all that on camera, you know. They are not allowed phones, not allowed computers. They can't leave the room. They literally put tape on the outside of their door, like when you were in fucking high school and you stayed in a hotel. Yes, because they have to be like isolated. So it's intense.
How long is the filming process? Like what? How long is that? 3 months?
Well, no. I don't think I like 4 weeks. I think if you make it to finals, I could be wrong about that, but something like that. No, it's not like that. Yeah. But then, of course, you know, you have about a year until it actually premieres.
Right, so you can't even talk about it.
No, you can talk about it because they haven't, you know, said who's even on it yet. And then the real drag race starts because then the premiere starts. And so you're going to parties and you're like doing your work. And that's what really it doesn't matter how you do on the show. Really, it doesn't. I mean, it maybe to an extent. If you're edited as a villain like Fifi O'Hara, though she's also a villain, though. Don't get me wrong. But they also edit her as a villain. But like really it's about how hard do you work after? How do you hustle? Like, you know, how kind are you to people? How do you treat your fans? That's what makes you a star. Okay, so Katya is my second favorite of all time. I love her vulnerability. I think she's incredibly smart. I love her insanity. I just love her. And then my first favorite of all time, I kind of spoiled it, is Nina Flowers from season 1. Loca! She's my favorite. I saw her at a club in Chicago, and back when I lived there in like, what was that, like 2011? And late 2010, and I literally sobbed in the club. Yeah, I don't know what she's just, she's a visionary to me. Like she is walking art to me. She's also super sweet. I also saw her out of drag and creepily tried to get close to her so I could tell her how much I loved him at the time. And he was surrounded by these huge, beautiful, muscular men who are obviously his bodyguards. Right. And I couldn't get close enough, and they kind of were, like, not very nice to me. But that's okay.
Do the queens,
I understand.
Like, are they, like, catapulted to stardom? Like, not all of them, but, like, some of them or all of them?
Stardom or infamy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Because...
like, so much they need bodyguards, it's crazy.
Well, in the gay club, yeah. I mean, probably not when they go to the grocery store. But, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race is big in America, but it's huge in other parts of the world. Brazil, it's huge.
That's amazing.
Like, the Philippines and Thailand and all over Europe. Yeah, it's a really popular show. So, yeah, I would say they're catapulted to very real fame. Mm-hmm.
So what is the deal with the network situation? Because this has been, like, a source of contention.
Mm-hmm. I was supposed to write a fucking blog post about this, but this is good, though. So, it started off on Logo, right? Which started off in the 90s as, like, the gay channel, or whatever. It was the first channel on cable television ever to be made specifically for a queer audience, LGBTQ audience. Well, about 5-6 years ago, they kind of dropped that altogether, because their theory was, I do not agree with this, that today queer people don't want to watch programming based on their identity, necessarily. I just think it's bullshit. I think it's incredibly untrue. I think the problem was that the majority of the programming on Logo was shite. It was not good. It was low quality, and I get it. You know, you have to spend money to make money. So whatever, the point is, Logo is owned by Viacom. Always has been, which also owns like MTV, Nickelodeon. It's like a channel giant. And what they've done is they've switched. So last season, it showed on both VH1 and Logo.
Oh, okay.
They were probably kind of going to see like, okay, well, like, and so this season they moved it over to VH1 altogether, which is essentially, it means the end of Logo. Like, RuPaul's Drag Race was the only popular show on that station. So, Logo's going away. Which is fine because it's not even a queer station anymore. It's like Bravo, essentially, now. And RuPaul's Drag Race is on VH1 now. Okay. Which I'm nothing but happy about. You know, there are places in the country, like out in rural America, where you couldn't even get Logo. Like, they don't even offer it on your cable package. Is it weird, or is it homophobic? Right. It's not. Yeah. I mean, which is weird and wrong, but like, so much shade. But VH1 you can get everywhere. So, lovely. Yeah.
And honestly, I thought VH1 was dead, so I'm really surprised that they're still going, girl.
RuPaul's Drag Race single-handedly kept Logo afloat. So, if VH1 is failing right now,
she'll bring it together.
100%. Do you have any other questions about RuPaul's Drag Race? I could talk about it forever.
I think RuPaul is such an interesting person. What is like the first thing do you know that catapulted Ru to fame? Like why do we know RuPaul today? Like, where does she get her start?
Well, to my knowledge, she was a club kid with Michael Alec and James St. James. So she was part of that whole, like, party monster lifestyle. She went on a few of the talk shows with the club kids. She did the circuit of the clubs at, like, Limelight and all those clubs. And then she was supermodel of the world.
What is that?
You better work.
Oh, yeah.
Work it, girl. And I think that was probably her catapult moment. And then she was a supermodel. Like, she was in photo shoots and walked runaways and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, I'm a little unsure. Let's see, she was in To Wong Fu.
Yes.
She was already a huge star by then. She went on Hanging with Mr. Cooper. That's not what her fame is based on, but it's indicative of her fame.
Yeah.
Because she was able to go on Out of Drag, and that was, like, a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
So people were like,
yeah.
RuPaul Out of Drag, right? And then she did talk radio in the 90s with Michelle Visage in New York. They were, like, radio hosts. And she's like, a business mogul, also.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
She'd be making that money.
Exactly. Yes. But I think she's rich as fuck, and I'm glad. But I think club kids at first, and then supermodel, and then supermodeling. She also, she had a music career. She's lived many lives.
It's crazy.
Wouldn't it be awesome if one day, like 5 years from now, we'd have RuPaul on our podcast.
Yes, Ru, come on the podcast, baby.
Come on the podcast, baby.
We love you. Yeah.
So now, Morgie, you've asked me some deep questions. Can I ask you a deep question?
Yes, please.
So I was thinking deeply about maybe things that would introduce people to another side of you.
Yes. That's funny because I came up with some not deep, more shallow questions I thought we could answer after this.
And see, this is indicative of who we are.
Yeah.
Tell me this. If you had to identify the moment in your life in which you felt the most free, when would that moment be?
Oh, God. Wow, that's a really big question. The first thing that comes to mind, which, like, maybe if I had more time to think about it, I would have a different answer.
Are you shading me for not asking this question before?
No. I'm just saying, like, this is the first thing that comes to mind, so I'm going to go with my gut, is when we moved to Austin. So, moving to Austin was kind of, I mean, even though, like, I got married and I, like, have done all these other things in my life, like, moving to Austin was, I think, the most monumental free thing that I have ever done. Ever. Because, like, especially when you grow up in a place where, like, a lot of people don't leave and, like, your family's been in the same place forever and, like, honestly, I think you're expected to stay, like, right? Like, they're surprised when you leave.
Sure.
So, we went to San Antonio for a year, but we had this, like, safety net with Erin's mom, because, like, we went there, we were able to go there because we could stay with her and, like, save up money for our wedding, right? So, we weren't free. We were living with Erin's mom, and we were
Which is lovely, but it's not free.
It's not free. Yeah. And so, we had that time to save money so we could pay for our wedding, which is great. And we got married, which was great. The experience of having a wedding is not freeing because you spend, and ours was pretty chill wedding as far as weddings go.
It was a beautiful
Thank you very much. But even still, you're spending so much time catering to, like, other people and worried about, like, other people. And it's not a freeing experience for you because it just, like, can't be. So we decided that after the wedding, we were going to move to Austin and we were going to do it and we were going to move in with you and Sarah, and making the decision and then making the leap to do it, even though I didn't have a job. Thankfully, Erin got a job before we came. So, like, we weren't, like, super, super poor and we had, like, a little bit of savings. I was unemployed for 3 months, right? Like, the job market's hard. You know, you were unemployed when you came, too.
Shit, yeah, and it was scary as fuck.
It's scary. It's really, really scary. And it's that same feeling of, like, jumping off the ledge and just, like, fucking going for it. And, like, not knowing if you're gonna make it or, like, how are you gonna pay the bills? And, like, right, I didn't have a car. And, like, how do I learn to use the bus system? And, like, of course you helped me with that. But just, like, all the things of, like, how do you make it work? And, like, what are you going to do? And it's all falling apart and you've never really had to do it. Because even when you went to college, you had, like, a fucking dorm room. And, like, that was the most freeing experience of my life. And to think back on that, it was, like, 5.5 years ago or something like that. That's crazy. Because I've come so far in that time. In the last 5 years, I've become, like, a fucking adult.
You have.
Yeah.
You, like, own a house. You've got 2 fur babies.
Yeah.
2 cars. You're important at your work. People pretend to like you to your face.
But they don't. Yeah.
Which is what being an adult is.
For sure.
I think.
I have a podcast.
You have a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Half of a podcast, bitch.
I know. It's our baby.
Yes, it is.
So that was the first step along the road of, like, many mistakes for sure. But, you know, that was the first step that led me really, truly to where I am today. And it is so freeing. And if I could give any words of encouragement to any people who are, like, at a place in their life where they're just comfortable and it's easy and changing things is scary, because change is scary. But, like, baby, you gotta just jump, girl. You gotta just jump. Who cares you're unemployed for 3 months? You eat refried beans every night. You been there. I've been there.
Yeah, sleep on the floor, bitch.
Yeah, you sleep on the fucking floor of your friend's dining room and you're just gonna figure it out together.
Exactly.
And that's what friends are for as well. Also, is my second word of advice on that.
You smell like refried beans.
Well, refried beans are good.
I love that about you. No, I had something actual to say, but I'm so sorry it fell right out of my head. I think I'm so glad you took that leap, by the way, because it led to today. I think my most free moment was my first day of college, because I went to school so far away from Arkansas.
Yeah.
I went to Portland, Oregon, and I'd come out to you earlier that summer, and, incidentally broken your heart, and that was very traumatic for both of us. And I'd also come out to everyone else, but, like, I wasn't out.
Yeah.
I didn't live my life.
You were still
in.
I
was in. I had like one ass cheek out the closet. You know what I mean? But like, I was still planted firmly. And being so far away from, my family's religion and like, all these people who I'd frankly lied to for many years, I literally put on a rainbow bracelet on the flight to Portland.
Yeah.
Like, it was a moment, and I'll never forget. I took 2 suitcases to school, and stepping off the plane in Portland and like getting in the taxi to go to Reed College, and life felt so full of possibility.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I did expect every boy to throw himself at me now that I was out. Which is, I think it's something a lot of gay people, like, I don't know, it's just a fantasy, I guess. But that was so free. And frankly, I love school, and I've been looking forward to college since I was in like 2nd grade.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with sexuality. I fucking knew I would love college, and I did. I loved every fucking minute of it.
College is awesome. Everyone should
wonderful.
do it just for the social experience, if nothing else.
Yeah. Oh, and I learned so much, and I grew into myself. From there I moved straight to Chicago, and I would say I had my adulting moment in college, though, actually, in a very real way. Even though I didn't have to fend for myself as much, there was a self-awareness that kind of came to the fore that I really connect to being an adult. But yeah, first day of college for me, which I guess is kind of a bullshit answer, because I think a lot of people would say that.
But for you had so many changes that you were like walking into, and like you didn't know anyone there, so it was like so freeing.
I'd never visited the campus.
So it's all brand new. I think I totally get that being a moment for, and I think that's probably a big moment that's like probably the moment for a lot of people. It's really weird. I feel like, I feel like college is great, and you do spend so much time finding yourself. But for me, as far as like the finding yourself part, like it was only just like the tip of the iceberg. Like
just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip, baby. I have mostly become the person that I am in like the last couple years. Like, I feel like I look back on like college Morgan, and I feel like she was so ignorant of like so many things, and like somehow like stunted, and like I don't understand her in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like I've grown so much since her, that like, but I always felt like college was like going to be the transformative time. And at the time I thought it was, because I had changed so much, and I didn't even fully understand how much one can change. Like, cause it's not so much changing. You're just like swimming through this muddy puddle and like just grasping at straws, trying to find the like pieces of like who you are. And like, I feel like I'm finally there, and it's so weird to look back.
But I don't know. Perhaps you are there. Well, an ex-boyfriend of mine once asked me, he was like, when's the moment when you felt comfortable in your own skin? You know? Have I said this? I don't know.
No.
And I was literally stumped. I don't think I have had that moment yet. But this is connected because he seemed to have thought he had that moment.
Yeah.
But I wonder, because we're almost 30. And we look at 20-year-olds and we think, oh, those sweet babies. You know what I mean? Not in a shitty way, but just, my God.
Yeah.
We're talking about college us.
Yeah.
We thought we were grown.
Yeah.
Girl, we were not grown.
No.
So, but you know what? 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, they look
feel
back
the
at
same
30-year-olds
thing.
and they feel the exact same thing. So it's like, no matter how much maturity you get, it seems like your process never ends, which is lovely. It's actually really wonderful.
And having friends like Amy and Dallas really puts that into perspective, because they're just enough older than us and have experienced like so much more than us that I understand what you're saying. And also like, they're kind of experiencing a resurgence of like finding their selves. So like, we're constantly evolving for sure. But I do think for me personally, I'm finally at this place where like, I'm really zen about like who I am and I understand the things that I want. And I never understood that before. Like I spent so many years not understanding what I wanted or like how to get it. And like, sure, I don't know like all the things I want, like especially for like my career goals or like where I want to be as far as like work in like 5 years. Like I don't know how to get there or like even what that looks like or what my ambitions are, but like my personal life is so much more important to me. And I think it should be for most people. Like I get people who are like really career driven, but like honestly that's just not who I am. And like, am I gonna get fired? Is my boss listening? But like I've been on such a personal journey that like I feel like I'm finally Morgan and that like I know who she is and like I look back on choices I've made and don't understand who that person is or why she did that or why she was like mean to somebody about like something insignificant. Not as like for shade, but like truly mean to somebody, you know?
We have moments. I feel you. I empathize.
Yeah.
Actually, that connects to another question I have. This is perfect. If you could have done one good deed that you had the opportunity to do but did not do, what would that deed be?
A good deed. Wow, this is really hard.
If you like, you can pretend to listen to me. I have an answer. Of course, I knew this question was coming.
Sure.
Because I wrote it down.
Yeah,
if
you
would
tell
like
me.
To think, okay.
You tell me yours and I'll see if it inspires. So,
I'm sure there are plenty of things I could have done nicely that I did not do. But there was one particular moment, and this is quite recent, so it's vivid in my head. I was at work, and I've got this just like beanie that I wear that says Lush Cosmetics on it. And I got it at a manager's meeting. It's very like, you can't just buy it anywhere. Limited edition swag. And I was wearing it that day because my hair was dirty. And like, I work at Lush Cosmetics, so my hair has to be on point if it's going to be out and about. Or at least not filthy. It was filthy, And this woman came up and I was, doing the register stuff. And she was like, where did you get your hat? And I was like, blah, 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 manager's meeting, blah, 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 I'm special, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, well, my niece is a big fan of Lush, and she has cancer. And she is, she's losing all her hair, and she's looking for, like hats that she loves like that. Mm-hmm. And she gave me kind of like a significant look. And I will tell you, this was a Saturday. I was fucking tired. I was busy. And I was like, I have psoriasis, right? On my scalp. Like, if my hair's dirty, it's dirty. It is not fit to be seen, And so I was just like, oh my goodness, well, you can't really get this one. But, you could check on eBay. You might be able to find something. Which is not terrible advice. She might have found something. And I also wasn't sure it wasn't a scam, to be perfectly frank. I think she just wanted my hat, maybe. But I've thought about it, honestly, every time I've worn it since. And I wish I'd just given it to her. Because then I would have got that lovely feeling you get when you do something nice, even if it's bullshit or a scam, Mm-hmm. But instead, I was like, no, like, I don't want to, like, show my hair at work. And, like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she left perfectly fine. I think I sent her with, like, a bath bomb for her niece or something.
Well, that was sweet at least.
Yeah, but it didn't cost me anything.
But you wish that you had given her that.
I wish I had sacrificed something that I actually do wear often and do like and enjoy, because I think it would have given me a lot of fulfillment. I probably wouldn't be thinking about it today, but now I regret it. I do regret I didn't give her my hat.
Well, that does spark a little something. So I don't have, like, one particular deed to point out, but, like, speaking of living with, like, regrets, I feel like as a child, I was a very conscious child, and I still have vivid memories of me actively making a choice to, like, be kind to my sister in an argument when I had, like, a bunch of fuel that I could throw on the fire, like, mean things to say to her, but I didn't because she's very sensitive. Or, like, at school when I, like, you have these, like, hateful thoughts and you're like, this could really, like, stick it to this, like, little bitch right now. And I remember, like, holding back and, like, choosing. I often actively chose to not say mean things because I I have like a lot of empathy, like too much sometimes. And like, I do this thing that's probably bad for myself where I play out like a conversation in my head and like can envision like how it will hurt someone and then like can choose to not do that, which is good. But of course you always hurt the ones that you love the most. And so like I would not do that with my dad. And I have these like memories of me just like seeing the conversation play out in my head and knowing the hateful thing that I could say and then thinking of like the not hateful route and then being like, fuck it. And then saying the hateful thing because I just like felt like it and then immediately feeling guilty about it. And then like 25 years later, still like remembering the comment that I said. And I even like brought one up to him one time. Like one day he like came in when I was on like middle school or junior high on like a Saturday or Sunday or something and surprised me with like Sonic for breakfast. And he got breakfast burritos. And all I could say was, I like breakfast toasters. And I still, like, remember it. And then he got, like, mad. And he was like, well, don't eat the fucking burrito then or whatever, you know? And then I was like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. Thank you for getting the burrito. But it was, like, too little, too late. Yeah. And then, like, I still think about it. And I, like, told him about that. I was like, remember that time I was, like, a dick for no reason? And he was like, not at all. Like, he doesn't remember it, like, at all, right? Yeah. Like, it was just in one ear, I think, because I'm sure I said a lot of hateful things. So most of my regrets are just like mean things I said to my dad because like the older I get, the more like I appreciate all the things he did for me. So the one good deed I would say is like just being kinder to my father because he sacrificed so much for me. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, especially raising a special needs child like you.
I'm so special in so many ways, so that totally applies. Yeah.
You know what? I think now I have more of these questions, but I think I would like to make this maybe a segment on our podcast from now on.
Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it.
Because I have a ton of these kinds of questions, and I don't know, we've never, like, I'm like really into this.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's lovely. What are some of your shallow ass questions?
Oh, girl.
I love a shallow.
Let me hit you with, so these may be shallow, but they will help the listener understand us at least a little bit better on some level, even if that level is like half.
I don't know, Morgan. I'm very complex. I'm like a very like interesting person.
Okay, well, they're not also shallow, but they are all just like things about us, okay?
Okay.
So, what kind of podcasts do you listen to, Mick?
Ooh, I like this question. Well, I listen to BBC News. They do 2 podcasts a day, like news podcasts. Uh-huh. I listen to RuPaul's What's the Tea podcast. I listen to this podcast called Dumb Gay Politics, which is it's 2 women, 1 gay, 1 straight, and they talk about essentially Trump destroying the earth. Mm-hmm. I listen to our podcast, which maybe is totally self-centered, but I very much enjoy it. And I listen to Vox's The Weeds podcast, which is all about, you know, getting in the weeds of government and new things that are being passed or stupid legislation. It's very nerdy, but I'm totally into it.
Yeah.
What about you?
So for news, the two places I get like 98% of my news from are all things NPR and the BBC. So I'm on board with you there 100%. In my opinion, they're like the best news sources outside of like The Daily Show and like
Al Jazeera
Last Week Tonight.
Have a podcast too?
Oh, I don't know. I bet they do. Yeah, they're good too. But you're right. I don't listen to that at all. But I'm pro that for sure.
I think that'd be good. I just don't have time for them.
Yeah, and then like the general like entertainment podcasts, I have like an absurd amount of podcasts that I listen to, but just some of my favorites. I like comedy podcasts and science podcasts and mystery podcasts. Ooh. I'm a big fan. Serial was like my jam, and I listen to like a million different kinds of mysteries. I really like Doug Loves Movies, which is a comedy podcast game show about movies with Doug Benson. I really like How Did This Get Made with Paul Scheer and Jason Mantzoukas and June Diane Raphael. I am really into Up and Vanished right now, which is an ongoing mystery podcast. I like Serial. I like Radiolab. Radiolab is an incredible podcast. You talk
about Radiolab all the time.
To me, it's like it's like the bar, the standard that you should aspire as far as quality goes for everything. It's amazing. This American Life is fantastic, of course. Ira Glass.
I used to listen to that. I love Mr. Ira Glass.
Yes.
He's so sweet,
yeah. It's great. I listen to some podcasts that aren't currently ongoing or don't exist anymore. Mystery Show. I don't know. I listen to so many podcasts. Oh, I listen to this really cool one called Probably Science, which is comedy and science. Yeah, so I listen to a ton of stuff. What kind of books do you read?
Well, it's funny. So I just brought a bunch of books back from Arkansas. And, as a high schooler, I collected books. And remember, Morgie, I had, hundreds of books in my room. Do you remember that wall of books I had?
Yes,
so many. I didn't read all of them. Let's be perfectly transparent. But I was like, well, I'm going to have to sort through these books quickly, right? When I go home, because I'm not going to be home for weeks and weeks, just a couple days. So I made a list of categories of books. So actually, I have this very clear in my mind. I read queer, anything queer, theater, anything connected to theater. I was a theater classics major, so also classics, anything to do with mythology or something like Eros the Bittersweet, which is scholarship about classics. I read fantasy. Not so much science fiction. I know it seems like they would be very similar, but they're
very different.
They don't read the same to me at all. Even soft science fiction, that's not so much hard science details. I just don't, I'm not into space. I'm not into robots. I'm not into that shit. And then classics in fiction. So anything that you've read on 100 books you must read. Those are things I try to read. Now, for transparency, I may not get through them, but I do attempt it. Oh, and anything to do with magic. Because I think I'm a witch.
Yeah.
Or just, I want to be anyway. No, I am.
Solid.
What about you, Quinn? Oh, and Neil Gaiman for days.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have groups of authors that I will read anything by. So I have just a chunk of those kinds of people. And my preferred genres that I will go to are fantasy. I like travel adventure books, as I have already mentioned.
Loser.
You're a loser. As I've already mentioned. I like to read not necessarily romance novels, but I do love a good love story. So I will read some love stories. As long as there has to be other elements. It can't just be sex, romance. There's got to be a plot and some other good stuff happening. I will try to read a lot of not every bestseller, but if there are bestsellers out there that are international bestsellers that everyone's talking about, I would like to read those books. I'm really into mystery books. I get attached to a mystery series or some just good mystery books. I like mystery stories and thrillers, and I like series. I like series. I'm a big sucker for a trilogy or something. And you know what? I like young adult books. I like a lot of young adult books, a la Harry Potter. And I do like all things magic and general fiction and also the top 100 on classics list. So I try to hit all of those marks and I miss them a lot. So
we have very similar reading tastes, which we've talked about. I mean, that's a surprise to no one. Do you subscribe to any magazines or newspapers?
Oh, I have in the past, am not currently receiving, but have received Mental Floss. I think Mental Floss is a fantastic magazine. Super and fun. One of the only ones that's preferred in print versus online. There's really something about actually receiving it and it's just better that way. Mm-hmm. So that's a great magazine. Yeah, that's the only thing I've ever subscribed to and gotten in the mail. Personally,
I used to subscribe to the New Yorker, but it's so dense I couldn't get through it. I subscribed to Architectural Digest, which I know is a rando thing.
That's very random.
You know me, girl. I want to be rich, and I'm not.
Yeah, that's
I
actually
probably never will be.
When we talk about presents, what do we get for Mick? We're he wants to feel as fancy as possible, but normal stuff, but just fancy, a nice set of whiskey glasses.
Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah, that's your jam.
And also, I treat shit with a lot of respect. Mm-hmm. So you give me something, eventually something may happen, but it will not break very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also subscribe to, of course, the New York Times. I get the Sunday paper, which I love.
Yeah. What do you do with your free time?
Masturbate.
What else?
I watch playthroughs on YouTube. I just finished Witcher 3, a Witcher 3 playthrough. It was 182 hours that I watched. I watched every single minute.
That's absurd.
I know, it's a lot. I cook. I take long, fabulous baths.
Oh, yes. Same.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, those are... And I write.
Yeah.
Those are those are the ways I spend my time. I also clean kind of absurdly. If I get in the mood, I like very neurotically clean.
Oh, girl, you know me.
Mm-hmm. Both of us.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't always have a very clean house. I go through phases where, like, things be messy, but I also am a neurotic cleaner, and, like, I have a fond memory of this time on my birthday when we had, like, a big party at, like, our duplex when we lived together, and Sarah came in from, like, the porch. We had, like, this hangout porch that everyone was on,
so great.
And she came in, and I was, like, doing the dishes drunkenly, and she was like, girl, what are you doing? And I cut her off, and I was like, don't tell me what to do, it's my birthday! And, like, all I wanted to do was, like, drunkenly clean, and so I did.
Go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, drunkenly clean is something I do in my spare time.
Better to drunkenly clean than drunkenly vomit.
Oh, girl. Yeah, yes. I probably did that as well.
You probably did both that night, yeah.
Because it was my birthday.
Boop, boop.
Yeah, and I write occasionally, not as much as I would like to. I do journal. I read. You know, I'm pretty passionate about reading.
I've been falling behind on reading. Like,
I've been doing pretty good. I have
so
moments, but I'm doing pretty good right now.
I believe it.
I do yoga. Yoga's my biggest passion outside of, like, this podcast. I research a lot about yoga, and I honestly, like, this is a cheesy thing to say, but, like, in my spare time, I, like, work on myself. Like, now that I'm in this place where, like, I kind of know who Morgan is and, like, what she's all about, like, I'm constantly trying to improve her, and that's, like...
Makes sense. There's a lot of work to be done, girl.
It's just, like, a big old block of marble waiting to be a David.
Holy sure. Maybe it's a block of boo-boo.
Oh, boo-boo.
No boo-boo.
Yeah, so I do that, and, I love to go, like, hiking, and, like, I do stuff with my dogs. You know, Aaron and I are, like, pretty outdoorsy, so, yeah. That's what I do.
So fit. Abdominal muscles.
Paper or plastic?
Paper. It's more classic.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like way classier carrying a paper bag than a plastic one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, technically it's less... I mean, it's harder to carry. But yeah, something about, like, having a brown paper sack. Though Austin is completely sackless and fuck it. But, yeah.
What's your zodiac sign?
You know, I'm a Capricorn, and I'm not incredibly pleased about it. But Capricorns are loyal. We are ambitious. We're focused. We know how to put emotion aside, which I sometimes can do, but sometimes cannot. We are supposedly very good with money, though my life so far has not been that show. But I've learned over time to, like, embrace the parts of Capricorn that I like, and the parts that I think are not true or that I don't like, I just say, well, it's my moon sign.
Well, girl, that's what, yeah.
Or
I do that with all things in my life.
No. What's your sign?
I'm a Cancer, and I have a lot of fellow Cancers in my life, which I feel pretty good about. And I also read various things that I don't agree with that they say are, you know, traits of Cancers. That's one. But I will say about Cancers and what I feel about myself, I'm very loyal. I'm a very loyal person. And I'm volatile. I can be neurotic. But I'm very loving. I'm very needy. I'm a very needy person.
I don't think of you that way, but okay.
Yeah.
If you own it, I mean, I support you.
I am, but I'm working on it. Yeah, and those are, like, the traits that come to mind.
Is a trait of a Cancer having a very hungry vagina?
Yeah.
Because I've seen you, like, whole Twinkies just...
Yeah. What was that Pirates of the Caribbean movie with the Kraken? And then, like,
yeah.
I got stuck for, like, the rest of my life being with, like, the joke that I have a Kraken in my vagina. And I don't think that's fair, and I'm trying to outrun that.
You know, that has everything to do with man's fear of the void and man's fear of the vagina and of femininity.
Yeah. Well, you're scared.
I'm horrified. No, actually, I love vaginas from afar, like tigers.
What's your preferred social media platform?
I feel so lame saying this. It's Facebook. I heard recently that, like, the youth don't do Facebook, and essentially, like, people 30 and over. And I was like, but I'm only fucking 29!
Well, you're almost there.
I know, I'm very close. Yeah, it's Facebook. I used to be super into Facebook. Like, in college, pretty much every day I updated Facebook. These days, like, I go on it every day, but I don't, like, add stuff.
Oh, yeah. I get on Facebook a lot, but I don't interact much. I do now that I have, like, marketing for the podcast, but, like, that's, like, the bulk of what I do on Facebook is, like...
Do you have Facebook Messenger on?
It's like a separate app now. I have it, but, like, I don't use it. I do, like, Slack with, like, groups of friends that I chat with. So that's what I do. My preferred social media platform is 100% Instagram.
Yeah,
like,
you're so cool compared to me.
I don't know that I'm so cool, but what's cool about Instagram...
You're right, me neither.
Fuck you. What's so cool about Instagram is that you can, like, legit curate your feed, right? So, like, on Facebook, you're, like, bogged down with all these, like, obligatory nonsense friends that you have, and you can unfollow those people, and I do, girl.
Oh, me too. Left, right, up, down, center.
Unfollow. But on Instagram, there's no obligatory people. You're not obligated to follow anyone on Instagram, just, like, whoever you want. And you can follow people you don't know. So, like, a lot of people I follow are, like, inspirational, like, yoga teachers and, like, pages where their sole purpose is, like, really funny memes and videos and, like, that kind of shit that I love. And then, like, my closest friends, like, and then also people that are not my closest friends, but that are, like, friends or, like, friends of friends that, like, post things that, like, are worthwhile, you know? And so I love Instagram for that. And also, you know, it's fewer words.
See, that
it's mostly pictures.
That's 100% the reason I don't like it. Because, you know, I'm not... And I mean, who doesn't love a beautiful picture? Like, look around, we're surrounded by pictures. But I'm not a picture taker. And words are... That's my main source of communication. I'm a words person.
See, yeah, I hear you on that. But, like, for my inspirational people that I follow, I will always read the words they write. But if, like, my friend posts a picture of her kid, I don't give a shit what she says about it. I just say, there's your kid. Oh, that's a cute picture. And then I move on.
So
and
what
it's
you're
easier
saying
for
is,
me.
Since I'm one of your inspirational people, like, you hang on my every word.
Girl, you ain't never on Instagram.
Yeah, I was saying on Facebook, bitch.
No, girl, I unfollowed you a long time.
That's so hurtful.
JK.
I hurt my feelings.
Okay. What is your preferred candy?
Score bars.
What the fuck is that?
It's, like a Heath bar.
Oh.
You know what Heath bar is?
Okay.
I think they are identical, but my mom used to buy Score bars for us.
I'm
like,
shocked
like
right now that you do not say Sour Patch Kids. You literally have a tub right in front of you.
I do, and I love Sour Patch Kids. They would be my second, for sure. But Score bars, they're like crunchy toffee coated in milk chocolate, and I remember one time... I guess it was an ice storm in Arkansas, and I was like maybe 6th or 7th grade, and my mom went to the convenience store, and she bought like milk and cereal and like a Score bar for each of us. And I guess one for my little sister or shit. Maybe we just ignored her. I don't know. She's little. And we like ate it by candlelight, and I don't know, it's a very nostalgic candy for me.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's also just fucking delicious. Amazing.
I feel nostalgic about Klondike bars because that's like my grandfather's like the like snack that's sweet that he would buy. And it's such an old person's like ice cream bar.
Oh my god. 100%.
But like when I eat one I think of him and it's sweet.
So what would you do for a Klondike bar, Morgan?
I would like go to the store and buy it because I'm a fucking adult.
Oh shit. What would you fist yourself?
I don't think I would.
Bar?
I mean, I feel like I could have any other snacks for like
Seems like your
no
grandpa
price
didn't mean that
to
much
pay.
Huh? Wow. That's sad. Shame.
So my preferred candy is I love candy and it's a problem. But I think like my preferred candy is probably like anything salted caramel dark chocolate. Like anything with those words in the title are my preferred candy.
I mean, I'm totally with you there. And I do fully expect you to share all of that candy with me in the future.
I can't. I'm busy.
Oh my god, fist yourself.
All right. So I feel like do you have anything else? Sorry.
Nothing but regret.
I feel like we spent some time talking about ourselves like we do because we're very selfish and just like getting to know each other. I had some games I thought we could play to test our knowledge of a couple other things. How do you feel about that, baby?
I mean, the only thing I know more about than myself is everything else on Earth, so I'm ready.
Cool.
Preparation H.
Okay. I'm going to lead you through a series of questions about our beloved city, Austin, Texas. Let's see how much do you really know about the city that you live in.
I hypothesize I know everything.
Well, let's find out.
Let's find out.
What famous car race is ATX home to?
I know it. It's it's way far away from town. No. I can do it. I'm just tired. It's late. It's so fancy. It's European. It's not the Grand Prix.
Say
it's
Borat.
Not the motocross, huh? Borat? What?
It's fancy and it's foreign.
Oh, Borat. Oh God. What is it? I know it.
It's Formula One.
Formula One. Jesus Christ. Which, by the way, the only thing more boring than NASCAR is Formula One.
And it is the only Formula One race in America.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Still don't care.
That's fair.
I do hate that it's so far away from the city because when they do Formula One stuff, it brings like essentially no extra business.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, I mean, to like fancy hotels, it does.
Yeah, I guess
and to like
maybe.
some restaurants.
Fuck those people.
What kind of bats come to roost under the South Congress Bridge every year?
Vampire bats. Texas North Hangers.
Mexican free-tailed bats.
I was like shockingly close.
Good effort. What is the highest peak in Austin?
Sweet Lady's Tit.
Good guess.
Uh-huh.
It's actually Mount Bunnell, and it comes in at a whopping 785 feet above sea level. Isn't that crazy?
That's not very high, right?
No,
Oh,
girl.
okay. Well, I was like, I don't know.
I mean, in Colorado, they got like 13,000 feet.
Girl, when I went there, I felt horrible the entire time. Because,
Did you?
Yeah, because I was
Oh.
fatigued. I was very tired because I wasn't getting enough oxygen, I think.
Yeah, and probably like you needed like a humidifier because it's so dry. The air is dry there. You get very like dry.
Like really fat dick or something.
Okay.
Slap in my face.
What famous actress is an Austinite and owns Bess's Bistro?
She was in Practical Magic. Sandra Bullock.
It is Sandra Bullock. I'm surprised you knew that.
Yeah, she also owns, there's a restaurant on 6th Street she owns that is incredibly overpriced, but good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've never been to Bess's, and I'm probably haven't been to that one either.
I forget the name. It's forgettable.
What is the name of the Led Zeppelin band member who owns a home in Austin, Texas?
Prince.
I wish that you lived in a fantasy where you thought Prince was in Led Zeppelin.
Right? I'm sorry. I probably know this, but I don't know Led Zeppelin.
It's Robert Plant.
Yeah, I don't know who that man is, but I'm sure he's lovely.
And yeah, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
What former Hobbit owns a home in Austin, Texas?
Frodo Baggins!
That's right.
I know because both Sarah and Pablo helped him at Starbucks, and they said his hands were very small.
But his eyes were very big.
Yes!
Yes, Mr. Elijah Wood.
I would die.
Who was Austin's most favorite and homeless crossdresser?
Leslie.
R.I.P. Leslie.
Yeah, I only saw him once, but he really did have a very special aura. He wasn't wearing a bikini thing when I saw him, though. He used to wear that thong and run around on a bike.
Thong.
Yeah,
yes,
he wasn't,
girl.
He was like just like dressed, but he was riding his bike.
What is the name of the UT mascot?
Old Pokey. I would know this if I heard it, but I don't know.
It's Bevo.
No, I wouldn't have known that, actually. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, it's Bevo, and there have been 15 Bevos to date, because when they die, they just get a new one.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh my god, and I feel like somebody told me when he dies, because he's a Longhorn, because they're the Longhorns, that they sell, like, really prime cuts of him for very expensive amounts of money, but I don't know if that's true, if they were just, like, trolling me. But maybe?
I hope that's not true, because something about that seems horrible to me.
What beloved Winnie the Pooh character has a birthday celebration in Austin, Texas every year?
Eeyore's birthday.
It's Eeyore.
I've never been to that, have you?
Oh, yes, several times. It's so cute.
I really want to
Yeah,
go, but
yeah,
I
I've been,
want.
and hung out with Amy, and you should come. You would love it. I mean, you're probably always working is why you haven't been.
Story of my life. I work so hard.
All he does is work. Austin, Texas was home to the world's first known serial killer. What name did they go by? Uh-oh.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Get out, girl!
The banded strangler.
No, but I mean, that's a pretty good guess, I guess. I think that's so interesting. I did not know this before I found this fact. The world's first serial killer. Okay, so it happened in 1884, which was 3 years before Jack the Ripper terrorized London.
Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, right.
What
3 years
his name
before.
was?
The Servant Girl Annihilator. So he famously murdered the servant girls.
Girl, that's a terrible name.
Well, it was 1884.
Annihilator.
Everything was so formal back then.
I've never heard that before. How horrible. Did you like how I just knew it was a man?
Well, obviously. Yeah. What popular grocery store opened in Austin, Texas in 1978 by a college dropout and has gone on to be very successful?
1978. Well, okay, here's the thing. It's either Whole Foods or H-E-B. I'm going to guess Whole Foods.
It's Whole Foods.
Yes!
And then I wrote hashtag queso, hashtag BFFs.
Yes, because they sell delicious Kirby Lane queso at Whole Foods.
Yeah, and other tasty hot food bar.
Yes,
so good.
I love all of their
If I had $1 million, I would shop there all the time.
I've heard not to be a negative Nancy, but I heard there's a bunch of, ethical concerns about, you probably read this, about, the things that they decide to sell and how organic and or clean and or ethical they actually are.
Oh, there's a dark side to retail. There's so much shit that happens on the back end of that.
But that's the thing is, okay, maybe they're not... Lush comes up against this all the time. Maybe they're not in every way 100% perfect, but compare them to the competitors.
Yeah, for
and then
sure.
and that's what you should be judging them by, not 100% perfection, whatever.
I hear you, girl.
But,
Okay. South Austin is home to one of the most interesting cathedrals around. What is it called?
Use Tampon Cathedral.
I would not visit that.
I would visit. You are such a misogynist.
Well, that was wrong. And
Okay.
the answer is the Cathedral of Junk.
Yes.
Pretty famous.
Have you been there?
I have not, but I've always, thrown around the thought of going.
I would like to go.
So
I've
basically,
heard of
I've been
but
there.
I've never been there. Yeah.
What is the name of the restaurant / music venue where many musicians got their start, including Janis Joplin?
Is that the Broken Spoke? Oh, darn. Is that...
It's a restaurant today.
Oh, it's right up the road from me, I bet. I don't know. What?
Threadgill's.
Yeah, Threadgill's.
Yeah.
There's that location's right up the road from me.
I've actually never eaten there, but
It's okay.
Yeah, I feel like I should though, because it's this famous thing.
You know what? It's good. It's definitely good. They do, you can get 3 sides in a plate for $9.99.
Oh,
and
shit.
you can get fried okra and beans. It's good. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's edible.
What cult classic did Richard Linklater film right here in Austin?
Girl, a lot of them. But most, probably Slacker. Is that the one you're going to talk about? No. Dazed and Confused.
That's one.
Yes! Have you seen Slackers? I always forget if it's Slacker or Slackers. It was the one that I watched before I moved to Austin, and it was filmed in the early 90s, and I thought that the Austin I was going to move to in 2011 was that Austin, and I felt like a goddamn fool when I got here. And I was like, girl, it's so much later.
That's hilarious.
It's sad.
What lake is named after a first lady and native Texan?
Ooh. Barbara Bush Lake. No, I'm just kidding. Lady Bird Lake.
Lady Bird Lake, also known as Town Lake, and some people are very passionate about that.
Mm-hmm. Also known as, go down to the lake and look in the bush and you'll see a man with his dick out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When Austin City Limits first began broadcasting in 1974, a then unknown but future icon was their featured performer. Who was that marijuana-loving superstar?
Aw, he always wears his hair in braids. Oh, I've literally been to his concert. It's just late. Cher! What's his name? He's so lovely. I just can't remember his name. Oh, it's Willie Nelson.
It's Willie Nelson! That old pothead. But I love that he was the first person. That's so great.
Yeah, that's epic.
Okay. Austin was renamed in 1839 to Austin. What was its original name?
Boston.
Yeah. It was. No, it was Waterloo.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that, girl.
Oh, not even New Waterloo? It's
Nope.
lazy.
Nope.
Lazy.
What is the name of the local festival that draws thousands every year celebrating music, film, and technology?
South by South Hell.
That's the one!
Mm-hmm.
So, now we know everything about Austin.
Oh my god.
And that's basically our city in a nutshell.
Oh my god, I feel like you totally encapsulated the city in a bunch of well-chosen trivia questions, which I 100% aced.
Nailed it!
A+!
All right, baby. Well, I have actually super enjoyed having a Randocast and talking about just like miscellaneous life happenings.
It's been fabulous.
Yeah. If you guys want to follow any other miscellaneous life happenings for us, you can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We are at B&Bcast. That's BANDBCAST. Search us out on Facebook. Like our pages. If you have anything you want to tell us or corrections, whatever, you can send us a message through that platform or shoot us an email. We're at beautyandthebee@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, bnbcast.wordpress.com, where we've got blogs, we've got links to our RSS feed, and many other goodies there for you guys. Follow me personally at Morgandolph on Instagram or check out Mickey.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Mick, M-I-C, Parker, P-A-R-K-E-R. And just so you know, if you'd like to follow Morgan on her route to work...
No.
I thought I misunderstood.
But we will be posting a MapQuest link to that later.
Ooh.
We're very technology forward here at B&B Cast.
Guess what time it is, Morgie?
What time is it? Legit, it's 12:27 in the a.m.
Yeah, that's
and I'm
insane.
dead inside.
I know, I'm so
late.
I am not kidding you. I have watched bags form under your eyes. I'm not even trying to be shady. I bet I'm the same. Like, I've watched them.
I'm like
bloom.
King Theoden, like backwardsing.
Yes,
I'm like backwardsing into like sleepy old
yes.
grumpy Morgan.
Exactly, your beard's growing. But to answer my own question.
Oh, okay.
It's Content Club time.
Content Club! What time is it? It's Content Club! It's Content Club! Did I say it was 12:27?
Okay, so I am super excited, Morgie. I know you're excited.
Yes. Oh.
Because
I am so excited! I forgot for a second what Content Club was happening, and then I remembered how excited I really am. So excited.
Next episode, we are going to be lovingly caressing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and it is going to be amazing.
It's going to be
Morgan
so great.
is stretching her face. It's like face off right now.
It's like you're Nicolas Cage because you're super fucking crazy, and I'm John Travolta because I've already said I like Scientology.
First of all, John Travolta obviously gay, and Nicolas Cage hideous, so I think we need to switch our roles.
You know what's weird about that movie is they switch their faces. Why they bodies not be different?
Good point. Because it's called Face Off.
They not even the same height.
That's true. Yeah,
it's weird.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
But more on Face Off later. But currently, holy shit, we're tackling Harry Potter. This is our first adventure into the land of all the magical muggles and Hogwarts and everything. And we have so much to say about it. It's absurd.
Pretty much, I'm just going to list the 100 ways that Morgan is just like Dudley Dursley.
So while you're compiling that list, I'm going to be editing out everything you've said on every podcast and cutting you out of my fucking life. Really like Hermione's parents. She cuts her parents out for a little while, but then she gets them back.
So tune in. Next
tune in
episode,
for all that shade and all the glory.
Yes. And until then, babies.
Bye-bye.
Just be yourself, baby.
Be yourself. That's good advice.
Unless who you are is shitty, and then be someone else.
Then pick someone cool, like us.
Yeah.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm so excited for the Sorcerer's Stone.